Okay guys, this is lesson 5. This should be on page 19 in your packet. Today we're going to talk about parallel and perpendicular lines. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is review what slope is. So remember, slope is the steepness of a line, and you get that by taking your coordinate points and subtracting y2 minus y1 on the top and x2 minus x1 on the bottom. And so when I'm looking at a coordinate point, I know this is x1, y1, x2, y2. Plug it in the formula and you get what you get. So it says, do now find the slope between the following points. So I'm going to look at line M, and these are the points, and when I put it in the formula, I would get 2 minus 4 on top and 2 minus 1 on the bottom. That's negative 2 over 1. So my slope is negative 2. For the second one, I get a slope of negative 2 as well. And for the third one, I get a slope of 1/2. And these are going to be interesting relationships that we talk about. So let's go ahead and look at what how these lines are related. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and graph line M. So I'm going to graph 1, 4, and 2, 2. Right here, and then I'm going to draw my line. Of course, this is not working so good. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the second line. This one here. It's at, let's see, 1, negative 3. Just all right, and then negative 2, 3 here. And what you'll notice is that these two lines are parallel. Okay, they have the same slope and they go on forever and they'll never ever touch. Now the next one contains the points. I'm going to do this one here in blue. 0, negative 1, which is here, and 4, 1, which is here. And what's interesting about this line is it's actually perpendicular. So this would be perpendicular to the two lines. So what do you notice? This one had a slope of negative 2. This one had a slope of negative 2. So we can say parallel lines, parallel, same slope. Okay. Now this line was perpendicular, which means it makes a 90-degree angle. And what do you notice about the relationship between negative 2? It's going to be perpendicular to 1/2. Notice how the relationship is opposite reciprocal. So if you have opposite reciprocal slopes, you have perpendicular lines. And we'll talk about that later. I just wanted you to see this at this point. And so those were the answers to these questions here. So the first one is that they were parallel lines. The second one is that they were opposite reciprocal slopes. So parallel, negative 2 equals negative 2, same slope. These were perpendicular. And so the symbol we use for perpendicular is an upside down T with a little box in the corner. And that's negative 2 is an opposite reciprocal. Opposite reciprocal. And the last one was M and P. Again, it's the same answer as here. They're also opposite reciprocals of each other. All right, so today we're going to review, actually. This should bring you back to 8th grade. So everybody think back to your middle school and who your 8th grade teacher was, and see if you can explore this here. So we're going to talk about what is the special angle relationships that are formed by these angles. And this is the bottom of page 19. You can work at your tables. You should have a protractor or patty paper, and all the supplies are in your bucket. So if you could have your supplies manager, please go get your buckets and go ahead and work this out. Here are your vocabulary words. You're going to want to pause the video and copy these down. But first, listen to me explain them. So corresponding, basically you can take one of the angles, like this angle right here, and it slides oops, it slides onto the other one. All right, and then the two angles are congruent. So the two green angles are congruent, the two blue angles are congruent. Obviously, this angle and this angle also slide onto each other, so on and so forth. Alternate, so the word alternate means, like alternating sides, opposite sides. So they're on opposite sides, alternate positions inside the parallel lines. So if you were to draw a box around the parallel lines, alternate interior angles would be on the inside of the box. They are congruent to each other, so you'll be setting up the equation part equals part. Exterior, same as interior, except they're outside the parallel lines. So if you were to draw a box around these parallel lines, they're outside. Part equals part. Same side interior angles, they're on the same side of the transversal line. Inside the parallel lines, they are supplementary. So you'll notice the difference. They're on the same side versus alternating sides. They are here. And then lastly, same side exterior angles are also supplementary. So to practice this, we've got a couple of activities that we did in class. First of all, activity 3, which is roundtable. So we listed all the pairs of corresponding angles first. Then we looked at a picture and listed all the alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles, and then the last 4 we list all the pairs of same side interior angles and then checked our answers. So you'll want to get that activity for me. Secondly, we did a round robin where number 4 answered the first problem, everybody checked, and we did this for 4 problems. And that, again, is a handout that you'll have to get from me. And then next, if you look at page 20 in your packet, page 20 and 21, we're going to look at how you set up these problems. So the first thing you want to do is state the relationship and then solve for x. Okay, so remember, we're going to be looking at part equals part, or part plus part equals 180. Those are our choices. So right here I'm looking at this angle and this angle, and I notice they're inside the parallel lines, alternate interior angles, and I know they're congruent. So it'd be 5x plus 5 equals 6x minus 6. Put my line down the middle. I'm going to subtract 5x, and I'm going to add 6. So 1x equals 11. Now, conversely to this one here, I notice that these two angles are on the same side of the transversal. So this one's going to be part plus part equals 180. So it'll be x plus 87 plus x plus 107 equals 180. And when you work it out, you get x equals -7. And it's okay to get a negative x value. What you're not going to want to get is a negative angle value, because that's impossible. So this is same side interior angles. All right, a couple more examples. This is on the bottom of page 20. You want to state the relationship and solve for x. So again, this would be same side interior. So part plus part equals 180. And you can go ahead and fill the pieces in to figure out what x is. When you do work it out, you should get x equals -8. Okay. Now these are alternate interior angles, so this is part equals part. And when you work it out, you should get their alternate interior, x equals 2. All right, now we're on the top of page 21. All right, these right here are not a relationship we talked about today, but they're a relationship we talked about in the past. And these are vertical angles. Vertical angles are part equals part. We call these vertical. Okay. And over here, this is what alternate exterior angles look like. So again, it's going to be part equals part. And when you work it out, you should get x equals 6, x equals 10, and then For number 5, this is a linear pair. Okay, so that's a line pair. And that's part plus part equals 180. And you would get x equals 3. And here, this is what corresponding looks like. You can kind of see this angle. If you slid it down, you'd end up right here. So these are congruent, part equals part, and this is what corresponding looks like. All right, and when you work it out, you should get x equals 5. All right, so now let's talk about what your assignments are for today to practice this. We did some of the exploratory activities. We're going to do activity 4, which is another round table. So you're going to work as a team of 4. Everybody's going to answer each problem. You state the type of angles that are given. The second person writes the equation. The third person solves for x. And the fourth person finds the requested angle. And then you keep doing that till all the activities are finished. And then you have a problem set. This is on page, This is on page 21. But you're not going to do 1 through 10. You're going to do 1 through 9. All right, and then you also have Khan Academy. But I had the wrong notebook open. Anyway, you're going to do problem set on page 21, numbers 1 through 9. This is the illustration that you're going to use to answer those questions. It's also on your paper. And then Khan Academy, under the topic angles, you need to do the one that says equation practice with angles. Again, you want to get at least a 50%. That's one wrong. I think there are 4 or 5 problems you have to do. Take it as many times as you need. And then your exit ticket, joinquizzes.com. This is lesson 5, and the code will be on the board. All right, good luck.